Good morning and welcome to another episode of Garden to Table with Rose. It is the second week of May. Actually, today's Mother's Day, but by the time this is up, it'll probably be 2 weeks later because I try to film them a little bit in advance since I have to edit them. But it's early in the morning. It's about 8:30, and I have to come out here early if I want it to be relatively quiet before everybody gets up and is out in their backyards. So that's why I'm out here. It's very overcast today. It's supposed to rain all day. It's still pretty cool here. We haven't reached our last frost date yet, which isn't until like mid-May. So I haven't really planted the bulk of the things that I want to plant because it's still too cold at night. When we wake up, there's usually frost all over everything. So even some of the herbs that I planted a little bit early, I'm not sure that they will all survive because, it just gets really cold at night. So we will do a tour just to see the progress from the last tour, the first tour. So there's a video somewhere on my list for the first tour. I don't know how long ago that was, probably a month or maybe, a month or so, a little bit over a month. But this is the second one, and things have changed a little bit. Not a whole lot because everything isn't planted, but here we go. All right, so I'm standing on the deck, and on the deck I have my little planter boxes. Now last time I don't think these had anything in them, but now they have the beginnings of stuff. There's looks like parsley, giant of Italy parsley. There's regular sage, purple sage, curly parsley, and that one. Also, I had a lot of strawberry plants. If you watched the last video on my green stalk planter, then you would have seen how many strawberries I have. So I've tucked them in here and there. There's one tucked in the middle of this planter. This one has marjoram barrage, a strawberry plant. That's all that's in there right now. Tulips that were planted last fall. Looks like I stuck some nasturtiums in there. I stuck some strawberry plants and nasturtiums in that one, and nasturtiums in that one as well. The tulips are just about done, so I will leave the greenery there. From what I read, you leave it there until it turns completely brown so that the bulb can store up energy for next spring. So that's that. This planter has chives, which I haven't had before. There's some Greek oregano in there and a bunch of cilantro. And that one, I do like cilantro. This one has, it looks like all strawberry plants. 3 of these are alpine strawberries, so they're very small. There's a yellow, white, and a red alpine strawberry plant. I planted some nasturtiums in here, but it looks like they died. It got too cold, so I'll plant some more. And then there's a couple of my regular strawberry plants that I had left over. Here you can see, there's one of the alpine strawberries. They're very small, very small. But at least they're actually fruiting now. And then in this tulip pot, I threw in another strawberry plant. So my worm bin, I've moved over here. Took it out of the garage because it's warmed up enough, and it's doing pretty good. I will not get into it now, but the dirt is looking pretty dark. It's pretty rich. I would say in another month I can add a second bin and then actually use that compost. So I'm pretty happy about that. I've been hooking up an irrigation system. It's not really drip irrigation. It's more like a soaker hose, which seems easier. Drip irrigation has a lot of tiny parts. So what I found was a system that uses lengths of soaker hose, and you connect it all together the same way you would a drip irrigation system, but this was a lot easier for me. And it's a little bit more pricey for those kits. But I ran out of the connector, so I need one more kit. I'm waiting for that to come before I finish it off. Everything else is laid out. And basically, I'm just doing the irrigation to the berry field here. in the big field. And what I'm going to do is connect each bed to a hose, which you see that bright yellow hose, bright green, and then that will all connect to this timer that I have here that can accommodate 4 hoses. So I have my regular hose, my regular water hose there too, and I will set those on timers so that those things are watered without me having to worry about it. It's still raining quite a bit here because it's May, so I haven't really needed to do a whole lot of supplemental watering other than the bushes and trees I've newly planted. So I'm waiting to plant everything, which will be, in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, like the end of May. I think I want to be safe because I don't want to lose any more plants to frost. I finally got my rain barrel system all hooked up. The only thing I need to do is add a strap to the downspout to secure it to the house because it's a little wobbly. And it didn't have one there to begin with. But with me having cut it in half to add that diverter, it's become a little wobbly. But basically, yeah, I got it set up. Now, there are some things I would have done differently had I any experience in doing this. One, I would have made it so that the spigot at the bottom, the faucet, was on the other side. That way this hole that the white tubing is connected to would be close to the house, so that I wouldn't have to have that tube extending forward. But I did not. I put the taps right in the front because I really thought I could use either one of those holes to connect to the white hose, but that was not the case. Only one of them had the appropriate threads, so that's what happened with that one. But I still got them connected together. They work. They have water in them. Not a lot. There's been a ton of rain, but each one is probably a quarter of the way full. So I've used some of it, but I'm just gonna let it collect. It'll be helpful because water and all this stuff, it really increases the water bill. So that's what's happening there. Nothing over here but piles of stuff. Still got my lawnmowers covered because I'm still waiting on my shed, and I will tell you the shed story in a bit. Alright, so this is, I'm calling it the berry patch, but really there's going to be a number of things here. Right there's another cha-cha-chive. I think I have 3 of those plants. I ordered them from Burpee, I believe. And there's some parsley there. These are not planted yet, most of these rows. Like I said, it's still a little cold to plant everything, and I'm also waiting for some more berry bushes that are to go here. I ordered some aronia berries, and can't think of what the other one is called. It's a small one, josta berries. And then actually I ordered 2 elderberry trees too. I have no idea where I'm going to put those. Those have to go somewhere in the backyard. But there's some little greens that I just planted here just because they were cool season things that I plan to pull out at some point here before I put in the bushes. But I can't tell you what they are. I had to put some slug stuff down because the slugs and all that were starting to eat my little leafy greens. Usually I would cover it with roll covers, but by it still being cold, I didn't think I'd have that big of a problem. I was thinking maybe they would actually mature before bugs really got active, but that didn't happen. I got these strawberry bags you see in the back. I have 3 of those, and they have holes in the sides. They're basically the same fabric as the other container bags that I have. So they drain really well. And they have, I think, 8 pockets for strawberries. So I took all the extra ones I had and I stuck them in these 3 little planters. And you can see the soaker hose. So you cut the hose to length of your roll, obviously. And then there's a little connector there that has 3 connections, and then you connect green water hose to 2 of the sides to connect the rows together, all so it becomes one system. So we'll see how that works. These are gooseberry plants, I believe. Are they gooseberries? Yes. Invicta gooseberries. which I believe are white ones. I've never had a gooseberry, but it looks like a cool thing to try. These are currants. There's a white currant and a champagne, I believe, currant. Never had currants either, but I thought they'd be, I haven't had them fresh. I've had them dried. I thought they'd be good to try. There's a purple sage sitting back there. I planted some marigolds here, but I think the frost got them. There's a couple of nasturtiums back there, and that is a blueberry bush. Let's see what kind. Hardy blue. Hardy blue. Over here is two more blueberries. Blueberry. There's a big sage plant in the middle. And rhubarb. I'm sorry to move the camera so much. Usually the video gets shaky when I start moving it around, but I'm trying to give you the names of these things. I planted some nasturtiums here. Looks like they're not going to make it. There's some English thyme. That'll probably bounce back because thyme does pretty good with cold. Some orange yellow thyme way in the back that's very tiny. These are more blueberries. I can't even read the name. Pink blueberries, both of those are the same. And then this one is a yellow raspberry. And then in the back is a heritage raspberry. So, like I said, I'm going to put the Josta berries and the Aronia berries in this area as well. And the medicinal flowers and herbs are going to be sprinkled throughout here as well. And flowers, because pollinators are a good thing. So, also you can see I have a number of grow bags. And these bags have a little bit of everything. I tried to put all the root vegetables in grow bags because, like I've said before, I like pretty root vegetables. So, with the grow bags, I know the soil is loose. It's easily contained. They're easy to pull because they're in a bag. It's easier to weed and deal with. So these are potatoes. I can't tell you what kind, but I have several kinds of potatoes. Those are potatoes in the skinny, tall ones. Those are rutabagas. Let's see, carrots. That's a horseradish plant down there, which is huge. Let's see. What else we got? More carrots. I planted a lot of carrots. They're all different colors though. Like the whole rainbow. I really like carrots roasted. Salsify, which I've never had, which is supposed to be a root vegetable, kind of like a parsnip, I think. More potatoes. These are French. Princess Lirette parsnips. And that one, I love parsnips. Cannella potato, another potato. Beets. I just planted those the other day. All colors, all kinds. Shallots. I'm not sure how my, onions and garlic are going to do. I'm just not sure, but we'll see. Shallots. This is some kind of leafy green. I do not know. These actually came out of my green stock that I planted full of herbs and leafy greens, and I made the first gardener's mistake of not labeling things as I went. So I have no idea what it is. Maybe some kind of spinach or some kind of lettuce. It's growing, whatever it is. So we'll see how it tastes. Nicola potato. Turnips. Another big bag of turnips. And this is garlic. Now garlic you're supposed to plant in fall, just like the bulbs, the tulip bulbs, which I did. But I'm not seeing any action here. I'm not seeing any growth. I don't know, maybe it has to get hot. I'm just hoping they didn't rot. I mean, I planted them as specified. I covered it with a lot of straw and mulch to protect it from the snow and stuff. So let's hope it bounces back. All right, so let's go over to the big bed. Here's my soil making station. Like I said, I mix up my own potting soil, garden soil, container soil. I use a lot of peat moss. I usually put some vermiculite in it, composted manure, which I have there. And then I might add bone meal, blood meal, green sand, some kind of fertilizer if I have it. But it's pretty simple. that's it. It's just a ratio. Mix it, stir it up, wet it down, and you're good to go. So this is the big fill. I just weeded this yesterday. Oh my God, it was so much work. I'm so glad I covered up some of these rows. I just decided to do an experiment. I mean, I got this weed barrier row cover stuff. So I decided, let me do half of this garden with that to see if it really is more efficient or easier in terms of keeping it weed free and all of that. So these 2 rows obviously are where the warm weather things are going to go. Cucumbers, eggplants, tomatoes, that kind of stuff, peppers. So it's not time for that yet. The only thing planted over here are some leafy greens, which you can see them kind of sticking up in a few spaces. There's not a lot, and they're still very tiny. Those are collards right in the front. They seem to be taking off the best out of everything. But there's kale, cabbages, stuff like that. Just different kinds of leafy greens. That whole row over here, let me go over here, is all peas. Now my peas are taking forever. I planted them as soon as the soil was workable, as they say. And man, here we are, May, going into the 2nd week of May, and they're just now, like, 4 inches tall. So all of these snowbird peas is this whole row, and these are bush peas. That's why they have no supports. So I'm very excited about bush peas because I don't have to worry about it vining all over the place. So we'll see what happens with those. And then all the way in the back are the climbing peas, sugar snap peas, I believe. And then I planted a lot of the sweet pea flowers in there as well, in between the 2, just to give it some color and to be pretty. So we'll see. I got some broccoli raw up there, Chinese broccoli. Yeah, but there's not a lot out here yet. So, and then tatsoi over there. I'm also going to, once I harvest the food out of my raised beds, which is just about ready, I'm going to plant more of these cool weather things inside of the raised beds, I think. Because like I said, I think I planted a lot of these things, maybe a couple weeks too early. So some of them died off. So I'm not sure how much I'll get in terms of the leafy greens. All right. Let's keep it moving. Oh, finally, one of my first compost bin. This is actually ready to go. This compost is all done and ready. That's been going since last summer. Oh my gosh, it took 9 months, forever. And then I got some cool cages. Yeah, this is very colorful. I like the idea of having a lot of primary colors in the garden. So I got these cool green heavy-duty tomato cages from Tractor Supply, I believe. And then over there, there's some blue and red eggplant tomato cages that I got from Gardener Supply, I think. I got these awesome wind spinners. I think these came from QVC. They're so pretty. Wind spinners, I just like them. They're decorative. They're pretty. Hopefully they keep, maybe birds and stuff away from some of my food. But also these have like a solar light rechargeable battery. It's a solar rechargeable battery. And that bulb lights up at night. And it changes colors. It goes through like the whole range of colors. So those are so awesome. I really like those. Okay, here's the grapes and the berries. Those back 2 rows are all grapes, so I can tell you. I'm not going to go through each one, but there's a bunch of wine grapes, at least 4 kinds of wine grapes. They're all whites because I don't drink red wine. There's Concord grapes in the back, red grapes, and white grapes for eating. In the front are all berries. This is a white blueberry right here. What is this one? No, actually that's a white blackberry. Sorry, not blueberry, blackberry. This is Apache blackberry. That's another blackberry. These are all blackberry. Natchez, thornless. Couple of the berry plants that I transplanted don't look like they're gonna make it. So I've actually already ordered a backup plant. One is this Marionberry, which you can't even see it because I think it's dying. And then this one is a boysenberry. It's doing okay. It's actually growing. And then I have a loganberry, which looks like it's dying as well. So I ordered another one of those. Then over here, I have a tree, a cherry tree that I planted not too long ago. I think I did a video on that one. Yeah, planting the bare root tree. So this is the bare root tree that I planted in one of the prior videos. Seems to be doing okay. I got these two big planters that are still empty, so who knows what I'll plant in those. But I like having lots of little options around the garden to stick an extra plant in or something. So something will go in those. I'm just not sure what. I have two of those. And then over here, this is what I call the onion and brassica bed. So there's onions planted in there, and they're actually coming up, but they're very tiny. There's leeks in that row. There's a ton of Brussels sprouts. The last two rows are Brussels sprouts. Plus, I think I stuck Brussels sprouts in other little spaces just because I didn't know how they were going to do. I tried to grow Brussels sprouts last year, and I had no success. So I just planted a ton of the seeds, and I probably should have started them indoors a couple months ago, but it slipped my mind. I had so many seedlings I was starting that I didn't get to the Brussels sprouts, so I just threw them out here. There's another cha-cha chive. They seem to always do well. And then there's an herb back there. I'm not sure what that is back there. Maybe oregano or thyme, one of the two. I can't see the little sign. All right. My little makeshift greenhouse that I put up at the beginning of this whole adventure, it's coming down soon. It's been helpful in terms of hardening things off and protecting certain plants. Right now I still have sweet potatoes in there because they need it to be hot. So it is nowhere near hot here, and my slips came in the mail, so I needed to plant them. So there are several sweet potatoes planted in these grow bags, and there's also ginger and turmeric planted in here as well. And so I am waiting until like the end of May, and then I'm going to take this down, and those should be able to be outside. It hasn't held up well, let me tell you. Now, I have a completely fenced yard, so it's pretty protected. There's not a lot of wind in this area in general. I weighed it down with cinder blocks. I anchored it with these like 2 feet long augers on four corners. So it was pretty well held down. It wasn't like it was going to blow away, but what happened is the cover is torn in multiple places. I mean, it just really, it hasn't even been up for 3 months, and the cover is torn in multiple places. I'm glad that this was cheap. It was like $60 on Amazon. Also, the shells are wanting to collapse, I guess because of the weight of those grow bags, but I mean, they're not that heavy. Each one may be 15 pounds, so it doesn't hold much weight on the shelves either. So the only thing you really can put on them is a tray of seedlings. So it's not been that useful, but I have the spot here with these bricks from my old shed. Now, the shed story. This video is getting longer and longer than I intended it to. I have a story about the shed. I ordered a shed in March through Home Depot. And I like Home Depot. So the company that they use as their subcontractor, I guess you'll call it, is Tuff Shed, Tuff Shed. And I will tell you, that is one of the worst companies I have ever dealt with in my entire life. And I'm old. So I do not recommend Tuff Shed. I do not recommend going through Home Depot to buy a shed if they're dealing with Tuff Shed, which I believe that's where all their sheds come from in terms of the ones that are installed on your property. I ordered my shed, like I said, way back in March, paid my thousands of dollars for it, and got an installation date for 2 months later. Installation date came around, nobody showed up. No call, no show. So, took a day off work, to get my shed installed. Nobody shows up. They didn't even bother to contact me. I had to contact them to find out why they didn't show up. And they really didn't have an answer, but they said they'd reschedule me. Rescheduled a second time. And no call, no show. Nobody showed up. Second day off work. Nobody shows up. Call again. Like, what the heck? This is the second time in a row. Oh, well, I guess they use the subcontractor subcontracts it to individuals. And these guys, I guess, that they hire to assemble sheds just don't come to work. If they don't feel like it, they just don't show up. So apparently the workers just aren't showing up to do it. And they don't know where they are. So then they rescheduled me a third time. Now I'm being very patient here. This is the third time, right? I'm taking 2 whole days off work, waiting all day. Nobody shows up. Nobody even contacts me to tell me they're not showing up. Like, I have to hunt them down. Guess what happened? They didn't show up the third time. Oh my gosh. I was like, this is the most insane thing I have ever heard of. And I got so upset at that point. I said, I want to talk to somebody above these people that I was talking to. So they ended up connecting me to the district manager of Tough Shed, who still had no answers for me. Basically told me he couldn't get the workers to show up, that he would reschedule me. And then he gives me a tentative date of a month down the road. I said, are you kidding me? You have canceled on me 3 times. I've taken 3 different days off work. And now you want me to wait another month for a date, which the same thing might happen again? I said, no, sirree, Bob. If you can't get me my shed installed within the next week, I want my money back. Which obviously they weren't that inclined to do, because they didn't seem that concerned about the fact that they were screwing me over. So, all that to say, Better Business Bureau complaints later about Tough Shed and Home Depot, because it's their supplier. I finally got my money back after I filed the Better Business Bureau complaint. Now, I will say that Home Depot was very apologetic, very sympathetic. They called me. They even gave me a $100 gift card, and they were the ones who actually processed my refund ASAP. Tough Shed lied to the Better Business Bureau and said they only scheduled 1 installation day and it rained that day, which was a complete lie. And I never heard from them again. So do not do business with Tough Shed. So what I have done since then is I contacted Lowe's, and Lowe's deals, at least here, deals with a company called Heartland Barnes. And I don't know anything about Heartland Barnes. All I know is they told me that's their supplier. They actually have someone come to your house, which Tough Shed was all online. They have someone come to your house, look at your property, and he brings samples and stuff, and you can pick out what you want. So I really liked that process, and that consultation process was free. You don't have to pay for it. So, and I got an appointment within like a couple of days of contacting them. So that was seamless. Unfortunately, there's like a whole thing going on with lumber, as you all know. There's like a lumber shortage. Everything's skyrocketing in price. I mean, and it's real. It's not made up, because they were out of most of the sheds that they sold, just because they didn't have supplies. And so the biggest I could get was a 10 by 12. I actually wanted something a little bit bigger. I was looking at like just one size up, maybe a 12 by 14 or a 10 by 16. But the biggest I can get was 10 by 12. Now the nice thing is the guy tried to accommodate me as much as possible. I told him I kind of wanted to use it like a greenhouse as well as a shed. Not really a greenhouse because it's not temperature controlled, but like a cold frame. So what he was able to do was to take that 10 by 12 shed, put windows all around it. So there's like 5 windows, big windows, with window boxes so that I can plant plants, flowers, whatever, in the window boxes. 4 skylights in the ceiling with venting. So that was as much light as I could get into the shed, which I was pretty impressed. I didn't even know they came with skylights. So skylights, tons of windows, window boxes for planting. What else did I get with it? A ramp for the door. It's like a barn type door, a ramp. And the only downside is I have to paint it myself. I mean, I could have paid them $600 to paint it, but I wasn't going to pay $600 for them to slap 2 coats of paint on this little shed when I can get a gallon of paint for, you know, 40 bucks. So I'm going to paint it myself. But again, it's another 6 weeks for them to build a shed or whatever they do. I mean, they're all kind of templated, but 6 weeks for that. And then they'll call me for an installation date. I'm just hoping these people show up. So another reason why I need to remove this thing is because I need to take up all these bricks to make sure that there's ample room here for the shed. And it should be beautiful. I mean, with the window boxes and all the windows. And I'm probably going to do a kind of bluish gray paint because I'm really into this blue-gray color. Like if I was getting new siding for my house, I would get this. It's hard to describe. It's like a dark blue-gray. It's like a dusty blue, but it's very dark with white trim. I just like that look. So that's what I'm going to do with the shed in terms of colors. I do not want a white shed. My house is white and it would match, but I don't want a white shed. All right, moving along. That over there is the dog's swimming pool. My dogs like water in the summer, especially because they get so hot because they're huskies. So every kiddie pool out by them, they like chew up, like literally bite a hole in it. Luca does it, actually, the other two don't. But I went through like 5 kiddie pools, and finally I said, let me find something else. And I found this. This is like from Tractor Supply. It's something you use to water or feed livestock, I assume. It's very, very thick plastic. Like they could not bite a hole in it if they wanted to. So that's lasted a couple of seasons. So I'm happy about that. So I finished all of the trees. I think I have one more tree coming, another cherry tree, which is going to be a Rainier cherry. And I don't know where I'm going to put it. I think I'll put it over here in this area. You know, once I take down that temporary greenhouse, I think I'll put it right near the fence line. So again, when it gets tall enough, I'll have more privacy from the neighbor back there. But all of the trees I plan to plant here are planted. There are nectarine trees, 2 or 3. I think a couple of dwarf pear trees, dwarf apple, maybe a cherry. These are all dwarf trees, or semi-dwarf, but I'll keep them, like I said, all trimmed down to no more than 8 to 10 feet because, yeah, I don't want to have to climb that high. So that's my plan for that. So, and back up, I got my little bug zapper. That thing works really well. I think I got that one from QVC. But this works well. It minimizes the number of bugs in your yard. It doesn't get rid of all of them, but you have to run it 24 hours a day. So you have to have electricity outside 24/7, but it helps. My little seating area is looking good. I got my green stock planters. The strawberry one is over there that I did for the video. This is the one with the leafy greens. Look how lush it is. I mean, there's so much coming up. And I put it on these spinners that I found. I think they're called down under spinners. But basically, the whole thing spins. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to do it with one hand. The whole thing spins, so you can orient it towards the sun or whatever you need to do. So I'm excited about those 2. And I ordered 2 more. They had them on sale. I guess the lowest price ever that they have them, which was like $100. And I mean, I paid $200 for each one of these, but it was like a package with some other stuff. But $100 a piece, so I ordered 2 terracotta colored ones. And I'll plant those this summer, but my idea was to put them like in front of the shed, you know, to just kind of add some interest in that area. So that's where I plan to sit them whenever the shed gets built. Leave that alone, Bella. They don't really mess with the plants too much. They don't like eating vegetables, so they're not going to eat them. The ones that are in these green stalks, they just kind of sniff them. But they don't mess with them. Now this is the last thing I want to show you. And then I can stop this video. This is my 2x8 raised garden bed. And I think I filmed this for the first garden tour. If I didn't, there are pictures on my Instagram, which is Garden to Table with Rose. But there are pictures of this when I first planted it. And I'm telling you, these vegetables were like 2 inches tall. They were so small. Now look at them. These are pretty much all radishes, and I need to pick a bunch of them. But you don't want radishes to get too big, at least I don't, because the bigger they are, the tougher they get, and they just get more peppery, that peppery, zingy taste, which I don't really like. I like roasting them mostly, so I like to put them when they're about a couple of inches, like this one. Look at that. Perfectly round. That's what you get with containers and raised beds and grow bags. You get perfectly shaped root vegetables, which I love. So I gotta pick a bunch of these. But there's all kinds of radishes. There must be 8 different kinds. There's some French ones there. The French ones are usually long and like a cylinder. Those are French. And just tons of them. It's so thick here I can't even see them. Another reason why I need to pull them. They're getting too crowded. So once you can also eat the tops. There's a purple one. You can also eat the tops. Sometimes I saute them and eat the tops. They're not, I mean, there's a leafy green. They're kind of bland, but they're okay. There's that pak choy that I showed you before, I think. That was only, I don't know, maybe it was 3 inches tall when I did the last video. But now it's reached as big as it's going to get here because it started to flower. And I pinched the flowers off because I don't want it to bolt. But I pretty much need to pick these and saute those as well. But so all of these radishes are going to come out of here. And like I said, I'm probably going to roast them because that's how I like my radishes. Roast it with some olive oil, salt and pepper. And then I think I'm going to plant like cabbages here. Yeah, like, you know, stuff that has a head on it. Cabbages, maybe some either collards or something like that. And I may do some kohlrabi here because I haven't planted my kohlrabi yet. So I may do that here, or I may do that in a bag, or I may even do it in a row. I'm not sure. But there's also one of these on my front porch, which is 2x4. That one has all lettuce. That lettuce is pretty tall too, so it's time to start harvesting that for salads. And then, of course, I'm going to replant that with something too. Not sure what yet. But that completes the updated garden tour. I still have not hooked up those 2 rain barrels over there. But I plan to do that this summer because it's working out good on this side of the house. So I'll hook those up. And that's it. Otherwise, everything's coming along as it should be. We're just waiting for it to warm up. It is cold out here. Good gosh. It must be 40-some degrees. It's nippy. All right. So that is it. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the page so you can get alerts when the new videos come out every Wednesday. All right. Take care. Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I know it's late, but hopefully it was a wonderful day for you all. Okay, bye.